Welcome to the Mismatch. I'm Chris Vernon, and joining me today every week from TheRinger.com is Dave Jacoby. Jacoby!
What's happening, Verno? We had game 2 last night. Glad we had a day to digest it before we talk about it.
Yeah, now everybody has parsed through it. It's our opportunity. 1-1 after the Thunder evened it up by winning game 2, 123-107. The Indiana Pacers did not go the way of only two other teams in finals lore. The 92 Bulls and the 95 Rockets were the only ones that won the first two games on the road. So I think this was certainly expected, given especially the way game 1 went down, that the Thunder would be able to rebound and win game 2. It is only a matter of how it happened and what that means for the rest of the series. And so Before I tell you what I thought about it, give me your initial thoughts. As it ended, did you feel like, okay, Oklahoma City has now taken control, or did you feel, and this is the way it should have been, and Indiana was lucky to win game 1, or did you think, oh, hold on, we may very well have a competitive series on our hands because, unlike some of the other Oklahoma City foes, Indiana didn't get beat by 50.
Yeah. I did something I rarely do. I watched it again this morning. Entire thing, right? Breaks and everything. I just wanted to reprocess what I saw, because the first watch, to answer your question, felt a little more dominant from Oklahoma City than the second watch did. Because when you're in the moment watching the live game, you've got your eye on the score, and it didn't really feel competitive in the fourth quarter at all. But watching it back, I forgot how tight the first quarter was. The Thunder didn't feel comfortable in the first quarter. And I really, really think that they only started Case and Wallace in game 2 because they started him in game 1. They didn't want to admit that they're wrong. Because I thought that Hartenstein had the most impactful 3-point game I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, his passing, I've been a fan of his since before the Knicks, since he was on the Clippers. And he could do so much. And I thought that he made some really good reads. He had a terrible turnover in the second quarter. But I thought that you're going to see a lot more Hartenstein moving forward in this series.
Well, and he's one of those guys. I used to cover a guy just like this in Steven Adams, where it didn't particularly matter what the box score said at the end. It's keeping balls alive, and it is the all-important screen assist.
Thank you.
As they call it, where it's like, this guy is getting this offense in motion. Jalen Williams, slow start, and then Hartenstein came in, and he got him 2, because it's like guys die on those screens. And if they say one more time, I swear, as we get to the finals, you've watched these teams play 3 playoff series, so you have heard the announcer say now 25 times everything that can be said about all of these players. There's very rarely a new wrinkle. If they say one more time how Mark Daigneault says that's the best screener he has ever coached, it's like, okay, I heard that in round 1. I heard it in round 2. We're to the finals. We know Mark Daigneault thinks that Isaiah Hartenstein is the greatest screener of all time.
This episode is presented by Intuit Credit Karma. Navigate the world of credit cards with Credit Karma's tailored recommendations. It's suitable for anyone interested in taking control of their financial journey with cutting-edge technology. Start at creditkarma.com to find cards that fit your financial lifestyle. Credit Karma, finding the right card for you. Coming from the Knicks series, when Karl-Anthony Towns sets a screen, Nesmith would just go over it. He barely touches the defender. And to see the way that SGA and Hartenstein, they will get a switch, they will have the defender die on the screen time and time again. I thought that was really important. Also, just the way he moved the ball. I think there's a lot being made of the two big lineup, and they were only on the floor for 5 minutes, and they look pretty good together. But he's such an instinctual passer that I thought it was fantastic. Another thing is, I think Chet he's scored the quietest 72 points I've ever seen in these 2 games.
You mean SGA?
SGA,
yeah. You said Chet. You said Chet. I was like, Chet ain't scored no 72, brother.
No. But to be fair, Chet, I thought
he was good.
In the first half in particular, I felt like he knew he didn't play well in game one and wanted to make up for it. But SGA has, he had 34 and it didn't feel like it. Like
it's because
consistent.
it's not a highlight 34. It's a surgical 34. It's like, just rising and firing from 18 feet. It's fadeaways from the baseline over an extended arm. I mean, he was absolutely awesome. And I mentioned this today on my local show. I said, like, I always talk about if you watch, like, say, like the hockey and you flipped on the hockey, right? And the finals going on. If you had never seen hockey in your life, and many people, the only time they'll watch is when it's this high stakes, you turn that thing on, bro, you're going to recognize Connor McDavid's better and faster than everybody in about 2 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And last night felt like one of those, if you just had never watched basketball and you just set somebody down, your wife, who doesn't even care about basketball, she would have been identify who the best player on the floor is very easily last night.
Aaron Wiggins.
And she would have said, wow, why doesn't that guy get paid $250 million, right? Aaron Wiggins was great. But look, it's kind of odd that you say that after watching it back, because I felt almost on an island. And even after listening to several podcasts about it and reading about it, I did feel, and I didn't know if it was confirmation bias, that there was there's a heavy sentiment going in that the Thunder are going to kill them. And so then it was like, okay, well, that was a fluke in game one, but now we're back to the originally scheduled programming, which is the Thunder taking care of this team. I watched that last night, and I thought, like, it was only going to be the margin that was going to be decided, right? Because I don't think anybody thought Indiana's going and winning two there, especially after they got the first one, right? You've got a 68-win regular season team with their backs against the wall in a place where they have mauled their opponents. The sense of accomplishment is huge if you're Indiana coming out of there with a split, considering the teams that have won there are a game winner by Aaron Gordon and a game winner, by Tyrese Haliburton, and now we're done with the list. Like, they don't lose at that place, and most teams get beat by 1,000 at that place. So nobody thought Indiana was going to win both of those. And so there's part of me that was going, that was expected. And then the other thing was, I thought they played extremely well, the Thunder. And I thought that was a great representation of Thunder basketball, and especially their role players stepping up, Wiggins stepping up, Caruso stepping up, guys knocking down open shots. That 19-2 run they went on in the second quarter, keeping their foot on the gas and never letting Indiana go on a big run in the second half to put it in peril or to make it be like, oh God, here's the team that always comes back on people. Like, they kept their foot on their neck well, and didn't let that thing get under double digits and didn't give up that big run. And so I thought the Pacers did not play very well.
Who played well for the Pacers?
Yeah, I thought it was not a great representation of the best of the Pacers, and it was a great representation of the best of the Thunder. And when those things two collide, to me, it was almost like I would have expected the Pacers to get run out like hardcore. I'm talking, we've turned a lot of Thunder games off in the third quarter in these playoffs, to where the rest is Grizzlies? Just a waste of time. Trust me. Trust me.
Yeah.
I sat through that one.
I'm watching the game.
I had to see if Yuki was going to get in.
Especially rewatching it is, remember the first game I was texting you? I just kept texting you, hanging around. Yeah. And you mentioned the 19-2 run. They made a 10-0 run. The Pacers did sort of like, I think in the third quarter, they got it down to like 12-13, but it's so different going from 20-12 than it is going from 12-6. You know what I mean? Like, because then you feel like you're within distance for a miraculous finish, but they never really got it in single digits.
Well, and there was a moment in the second quarter where there was a mini run by the Pacers, and then there was a timeout. and they came out and scored like 6 straight to push it back up, and so it was 18 by halftime, and it's like, geez, man, I don't know if you don't need to be in the business of trying to come down from 18 on the road against the team with their backs against the wall. So once that 19-2 run hit, I never thought the Pacers had a chance in that game. It was just a matter of what the margin was going to be.
They outscored the Thunder in the second half. A lot of that was garbage time. And I think if you're the Pacers, you feel pretty good on that playing home. I think you feel pretty good about your chances. You didn't get blown out. No one played well. I can't think of a single Pacer where I'm they had a good game. I can't think of one.
Well, look, Caruso and Wiggins outscored everybody on their team. Both of them. Both of them had more points than anybody on the Pacers. So that should tell you a story. And look, the one thing I will say that is a positive for Indiana, go look through that box score, and you're going to see that it's like the same amount of field goal attempts. It's 3 less field goal. It's 3 less field goal makes. The rebounding,
fast break points.
They need to do better on that. 4 fast break points to them, 15 turnovers, and the live ball ones didn't kill you, right? And they lost by 10 at the free throw line, so that's 10 of them. And more importantly, and sometimes this stuff can be so simple, we said if they can keep their turnovers low, and the one thing they have to do in this deal, and it's going to be very difficult for them to do it 4 times over the course of 7 games, but they got to win the 3-point line. And in game 1, they won the 3-point line by 7 made field goals.
Yeah.
And in game 2, they were tied. Like, here's what we know. Because they are never making hay at the rim against Oklahoma City. They don't have the guys that can drive to the basket well enough. Like, dude, they got into the bonus a minute and a half into that third quarter and never got to the free throw line. Never.
Oh, interesting.
It was like,
I didn't think about that.
It was crazy. Like, Chris Paul is rolling over in his grave, right? Because it's like, you got to this is what you play for. You got to the bonus so early in that deal, and then just could never get to the free throw line. The only time they really went to the free throw line were on shooting fouls, and the closeouts were great. And it's like they made 7 more. That's 21 points difference, right? They won the 3-point line by 21 in game 1, and they barely won that game.
Oh, it was 14 for 40 for the Pacers and 14 for 36 for the Thunder. Like, it wasn't. That's not that big of a difference. No. And you got to remember. You have to remember this is that's Caruso and Wiggins having the game of their lives. And that's one of the things that makes me feel good if I'm on the plane and on the Pacers. I'm like, our guys are going to shoot better at home.
And they will. Their role players will for sure.
Dort and Caruso are not going to go whatever they went, 9 for 15 or whatever they went. Like, it was insane.
Well, and Caruso, Wiggins, and then Dort did hit a bunch, but like Obi Toppin couldn't make a shot to save his life in game 2.
Not at all.
Like, that's the stuff that's the ebb and flow, and a lot of it is, there sometimes the common tropes are common tropes because they're absolutely true, and we see them every single year in the playoffs. Role players play better
at home.
And when people are cheering for them, they start knocking down shots. Yeah.
20,000 people cheering for you makes you feel good.
It makes you feel great. And so here's what we know. They've got to win the 3-point line by a good margin. And I would imagine that they will take more and make more in their home arena than they will in Oklahoma City. The other thing, is after that game, and this is a discussion I wanted to have with you. So the Haliburton discussion.
Oh, let's go.
It's so strange because we go into, even when we went to the NBA Finals, we're like, it's weird. They don't really have a guy like the other teams have a guy, right? Like the usage rate is so low for Haliburton compared to other guys that get talked about in that way. And Siakam's like the leading scorer, and then there's Haliburton, and then Miles Turner's kind of at 16 right behind him, and then Nembhard gives you 12, and then Nesmith gives you 11, and it's like, and they go 9 deep, and on and on and on. And he's had these heroics at the end of games that have led to, and some monster games throughout these playoffs that have led to this. Is he a superstar? Is he a top 10 player? Is he, all of these type of discussions. And the way that team functions is so different than not only any team, the other teams in the NBA, but also what we're used to talking about, right? We talk about star players and we talk about coaches. And so we say Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards and Giannis Antetokounmpo and Paolo Banchero. And I'm listing off all the top guys in usage, right? And then it's Ja Morant and what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Brunson, sure.
Okay. So again, they don't filter it out for, for guys that just played even a couple of minutes. So like if you were to click on usage, what you'd find is Dalton Connect in his 4 minutes had the highest usage of anybody. Okay. But even if we extract those guys, or even if we add those guys in, which is not that many, you're still going to see all the biggest stars, right? Even SGA, even wherever. Bro, you will not find Haliburton on the first page of usage rate for the playoffs. You got to go to the second page, and he's like 52nd, and I got it. They're throwing in. I don't know what it would be if you extracted all like the Dalton Connects and the Lamar Stevenses of the world. But the point remains, his is at like 20, 21, something like that, right? Of responsible possessions. Like he is. So most of these teams, it's like they hover around one guy. And one guy makes a massive percentage of it happen, right? They're the engine. But then I keep hearing this over and over again. Like, Haliburton's the engine. Haliburton's the head of the snake. Haliburton. It's like, we talk about the Pacers, and I think that even Carlisle, when you listen to him, can get a little bit frustrated with this. When they're talking about he's not aggressive enough and he's not taking enough shots and he only had 7 shot attempts in the first 3 quarters and all of this kind of stuff. But it is odd throughout these entire playoffs and frankly throughout the entire season, that team and he do not function like what we are used to when we're used to talking about this guy's got to do more. The ESPN thing, right? Like it's not a show unless somebody's on there going, Tyrese Haliburton has to step up. Like Tyrese Haliburton has to be. And it's like you're talking about him like he's Anthony Edwards. He's never played like that. Like he's just keep the ball moving, one of the 5 guys that every once in a while has big games and then has hit 5 of the most clutch shots you'll ever see.
Before the playoffs, I mentioned Haliburton because my experience with him last season in the Knicks-Pacers series. And I said, SGA has 9 games where he has 30 points. 9 games in a row where he has 30 points. And Haliburton is up or down. He can have 35 and he can have 5. And my question for you is this, because I'm glad I rewatched it, because he had 5 shot attempts in the first half. And he's the guy. He's their main guy. But I don't feel like he left a lot on the cutting room floor. Well, I don't feel like he had a lot of opportunities.
He only had 2 more in the third quarter. He had 7 through the first 3 quarters. All of his thing. Look, 6 shots in the fourth. 12 of his 17 points were in the fourth quarter, and that game was done. Like Over. It was all
they were meaningless floaters. Yeah. But I just don't. We went into this series saying they've got Cason Wallace in front of him, Lou Dort for him, Alex Caruso for him, and who are you going to switch? Who are you going to? Who's going to switch?
Here's the deal, and I was listening to a guy who I think's very good, who honestly I wish was on more NBA broadcasts. Here's a take for you, because I rarely hear people bring up his name. I think Greg Anthony is fantastic when I hear him talk about basketball. I just like him. I find him to be likable, And I think he's always making good points. And one of the things that I saw him on NBA TV, and he was like, they were asking him, they were like, the shot attempts were so low for Haliburton. He's like, I'm going to tell you the same thing that you probably hear from Rick Carlisle, which is it's not the shot attempts, but it is the aggression, right? It is the getting it. And Haliburton has said to himself, aloud, it's about getting into the lane, right? How many times can I get 2 feet into the lane?
It's hard.
Because that's collapsing the defense, right? He functions as to make everybody else better. And if his shot is there, then he will obviously take his shot. But that is the problem, because going into the lane against Oklahoma City is unlike going into the lane against anybody else. Number one, it totally collapses. Number two, there's 10 hands literally slapping at the ball around you. Good. And the other thing is, they're very, very difficult to beat off the dribble, right? Most teams. So the thing is, things have to be quicker, and he has to be able to get into space to where things are going fast enough to where he's able to take those extra dribbles, because it's not the shot attempts, but it is about him being able to collapse the defense and then be able to make those kickouts, to draw the extra defenders, because he can't just be getting locked up one-on-one and not causing any extra attention to come to him. That is the thing where he has a higher calling. He has to be able to create, because those other guys are not create their own shot guys in many cases. And he is going to be the creator for them. And therefore he has to be more aggressive getting downhill in order to create for those guys. But, he's a great player. I'd imagine he'll figure it out. But I also think it's been strange to hear the discussion surrounding him as if the Pacers depend on his performance.
They don't.
So much more than they actually do. They really don't.
And when you watch the game, I don't even think he played that bad. They're just great defenders in front of him. There's one possession where he gets a screen and Caruso fights over it, but they kind of half switch anyway to SGA. Haliburton is he gets past SGA, and then J-Dub is there in front of him, and SGA does this thing where he reaches and rips the ball away, and then it goes into transition, he gets fouled. It was just they've got, 4 of the 10 best defenders on the planet, and they're all at Haliburton's position. It is going to be other players and other people. I do think that one of the things that he celebrated for, which I am scared of as a Knicks fan playing the Pacers, is when he does the jump pass thing. Jumps in the air, and he's done that
since college.
And he looks off the defender. He always spots where he wants to pass it and then looks at another player. So the defense can't help it but kind of half rotate towards who he's looking at. And then he hits a no-look pass for a dunk or a three. I need to see a little bit more of that, because it's getting in the lane, getting in the air, and then sort of pre-reading who's going to be open and then looking the defense off. I think there could be a little bit more of that in game 3 and game 4.
Well, and I know how much you swear by plus minus, but I do think they are winning his minutes. I know. But I do think they're winning his minutes, and the minutes with him and Turner on the floor have been very successful for Indiana. When you were talking about how they looked at the beginning of the game, and you think about segments of the game, and frankly, they got run off when those guys went out of the game, right? Because that's when you could do the double big thing, because it's okay, now Turner's not going to play us out 5 wide.
And it's Toppin. He's not hitting anything.
Or it's Thomas Bryant.
Yeah.
Right? So what? So it's all right, now they're not going to be able to 5 wide us. But I think you're probably going to see, I bet you're going to see more Haliburton and more Turner minutes. I bet what you're going to find for games 3 and 4 is that a team that has been so reliant and so successful with their depth has finally found a team that you're going to have to shorten it up against. Because even Oklahoma City had to shorten theirs up, right? Everybody was like, oh, Oklahoma City, they're so deep. And then you got to when it was nut cutting time against Minnesota in the must-win game, and it's all right, Caruso and Wallace played off the bench, and that was it, right? Aaron Wiggins, nobody else even played 10 minutes. It was all right, Even Oklahoma City got down to 7. And so I don't know if they'll ever get down to 7, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got down to 8. And I wouldn't be surprised if you played.
They don't even play Jay Will in these games.
Right. Oh yeah. And you've got like just kind of in Indiana's case, I think you're probably going to get some more like I think you'll get more Haliburton and I think you'll get more Turner. That's what I'd bet. I bet you get more of those two guys because those guys can present some defense. Like with a team that's almost impossible to create any kind of defensive problems for, they can. Just because of the 5 wide thing. And as long as they can rebound, they can get out and they can run. And then it's the chaos, right? And it's the trailing. Miles Turner can trail and not. You can see it when we've seen those in the Indiana games where it's like, okay, now they're flying down the court. Now Nesmith gets one in the corner, but they close out on him. And here comes trailing Miles Turner who steps into a 3 from the top of the key or something. It's like, all right, like that is a weapon that they have. And I think you're going to get less of the depth from Indiana because you just got to play your best guys the maximum amount they can.
I think Indiana was in game 2 somewhat until the end. They won game 1, and they haven't had a 20-point scorer in either game. Did you see that stat?
Yep.
They've not had a single player score 20 points. Pascal Siakam had 16 in the first quarter of game 2 against the Knicks. Like, I mean, again, a lot of that
Siakam's the one that they're going to have to throw it down to more.
I think so, too.
Well, because they also have to win the free throw line. Like, that's been a problem in the first few games. That's another one, much like we were talking about. Again, they're not the better team. So they've got to win these extra things. And we talked about the 3-point line, and that needs to be a big win. They need to win the 3-point line in a big way. They need to keep the turnovers low. And the other thing is they've got to win that free throw margin. This is a team that does not go to the free throw line a great deal. SGA does. Nobody else does. And you can't lose the free throw line in a massive way to this team. That needs to be a Pacers win or at least even up. That can't be a big Oklahoma City win because that's not even what they do. They're not a team. They have gone to the free throw line. They're like in the low 20s in terms of free throw disparity. They routinely lose that because of the way they play. Because they got one guy that goes to the free throw line a lot.
He goes a lot.
But nobody else does. And at the end of the game, you can't look up and they've got 10 more made free throws than you. That can't be a win for Oklahoma City on a regular basis and the Pacers be able to sustain.
I think looking at game 3 Wednesday night, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know who's going to win, but I think that oftentimes players will sort of like overcorrect. Like I think Chet didn't play well in game 1, and you saw him in the first quarter. He probably put up 4 or 5 shots, and I think he was like 3 for 5 or something. He was just like, I'm gonna make an impact on this game today. And I think Haliburton's going to do the same thing in game 3. That's one thing that I think he's going to get 5 shots up in the first quarter. I think that they're going to make a point to get him involved. And I think the same thing with Siakam. The idea that no Pacer has scored 20 points is insane. And I understand that the matchups are tough and they're playing great defense, but those two need to score for you to win.
We'll say one of the things that took place after this game, and I agree with you, was Rick Carlisle took to the podium, and you never really know, especially when you're in the NBA Finals and things are so high stakes. You never know how coaches are going to react to any manner of questions. But somebody posed a question to him and even asked him about Caruso and Wiggins last night, and I thought Rick Carlisle gave like the most measured, like glowing review of Oklahoma City. Like I'm just going to let you hear what Rick Carlisle had to say last night when he was asked about the way this game played out and Caruso and Wiggins both of them outscored everybody on his team.
I mean, what can you say about, their depth? Obviously, Wiggins comes in, has a big game for them. Caruso hits some big shots. I mean, how can you guys respond better to those things as far as you guys go offensively?
Well, first of all, Wiggins and Caruso played great. Those guys played great. I thought the atmosphere, I thought their crowd was exceptionally great. And so as we go home, we're going to need our crowd to be just like this crowd was. I mean, these fans took it to another level tonight, and that's how Gainbridge is going to have to be, for us to have a chance to be successful. And, Caruso and Wiggins, as you mentioned, both those guys shot it well. They caused other problems. They ran well. They made plays. They got a great feel for when to cut, and they hurt you in a lot of different ways. And so, Shea, you can mark down 34 points before they even get on the plane tomorrow, for the next game. I mean, the guy's going to score. We gotta find ways to make it as tough as possible on him. Williams played really well tonight. All their guys played well, and so we're gonna have to do a lot of things better.
Not as nice as you could possibly be about the way it all played out, right? And the one thing that stands out to me is he went out of his way to talk about the environment that was there in Oklahoma City. You know very well, I am a champion of the small market, and I have covered many playoff games in a town like Memphis. And I have been to playoff games in Oklahoma City back in the Durant Westbrook days. Unbelievable environment. And I will say that while this is not the sexiest finals matchup in the world, I do think home court advantage in this particular series is bigger because small markets have more rowdy environments. They are louder. They are more intense. It matters more. And most importantly, and you know this better than anyone because we did the show 2 weeks ago after you had to spend literally a small fortune to go buy yourself to sit at the top of Madison Square Garden. No real people can afford that. With Oklahoma City, there's families of 4. I told you when I went there, I went to the playoffs game, and there's families of 4 walking in, and dad's got a Thabo Cephalosha jersey, and mom's got a Steven Adams, and the kids have Durant and Westbrook, and then there's a little baby with a Harden jersey on. It's like they're all walking in as a family holding hands, and it's like the point is a family of 4. I went to game 3. Here, when it was Memphis versus Oklahoma City. And Jacoby, I will tell you, most years, including this year, I'll buy my wife and 2 kids both tickets just to go. Mm-hmm. I'll just buy them tickets, and doesn't cost me a fortune for them to go, and they got pretty good seats to go, and it's like anybody can do it. Right? When you're in a small market, when you're not in one of these big cities. And so you get a lot of it's kind of like in the big markets, when it gets to the highest level, you get a lot of times like a Super Bowl crowd. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where it's like
the law firm, the partners at the law firm have seats. So
they showed up and they literally showed up. They don't have a Patrick Ewing jersey on. They've got their suit on. They literally walked from the office.
One thing that I really love about these 2 cities and going to games in these cities is you can walk from downtown to the arena. I hate it when it's a 45-minute drive or you have to take public transit or whatever. In these 2 small cities, they don't have sprawling metropolises, but they've got a busy downtown central district, and you can go to the restaurant. You go to the restaurant at 6 o'clock or whatever. You leave at 8, you walk right there. You just walk. No cabs or nothing. 4 or 5 blocks, and then you're in the arena. They're downtown arenas, which I love about these 2 cities.
Well, I remember vividly from this playoff run, the night that you you FaceTime me because you had to do the Spotify event. This is during one of the Knicks wins.
Mhm.
And you had gone to a bar close to where Madison
And
Square
it was a
Garden
road
was.
game, too. It was a road game.
Yeah. And, it was a road game?
Yeah.
And then you went outside and and it's like, of all, that is the rowdiest of all the rowdies. And I bet you 90% of those people never went into Madison Square Garden for a game throughout the entire playoff run.
No.
Right? They were all the working class fans that are out there watching the games. And the point is, everybody that's at games at small markets is working class, except for Jimmy Goldstein and the 5 celebrities, five celebrities that are sitting courtside. Everybody else is like a regular dude. Like, like the guy, did you see that Instagram that was going around of the guy that was sitting next to Chalamet and Jenner during the, what's it called, series? And he owned the biggest landscaping company or whatever. He has a landscaping. That's what the guy has. And he looks like a guy that owns a landscaping company, and he's sitting next to Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner in the front row of the game in Indiana, right? When Pat McAfee is calling out all of the celebrities that are there via New York.
Well, I love that the Fever show up at Caitlin Clark. They've always got they're always 4 or 5 deep. I love that in Indianapolis. Hopefully we'll get a Jalen Rose sighting. He might be at one of the games.
For sure.
And you see my guy Lance Stevenson. Love Lance Stevenson. He got beat by. You see that? Michael
Born
Beasley.
Ready.
Born Ready. Maybe we can get Born Ready involved. Pacer legend. Yep. I love it. But let's talk about Game 3 a little bit. Yep. One thing I saw in Game 2 is Carlisle. He's a vet coach. You know what I mean? He's seen it. He dabbled with a little bit of zone in the second half, and I feel like he's testing the waters because we saw the Nuggets be pretty successful with the zone against the Thunder, and I think that's it's like your third pitch as a baseball pitcher. You know what? Not every batter's gonna see it, but it's just a change of tempo. It's just a little something that I can throw out in a big spot if we're down 6 in the fourth. I'm just going to throw some zone out there. I felt like he dipped his toe in the zone water, and I think we'll see more of it in Game 3.
Yes, I think judiciously they will try it, but I will say in the Minnesota series, I thought, oh God, Denver ruined this for everybody, right? They shot the wad. And they struggled so bad. Oklahoma City struggled so badly against it that then by the time they got to Minnesota, they're like, oh, zone. All right, run from the baseline. Here's a dunk. Here's this. Right? And so it was like, oh, man. You let them see it, right? So now they
have a counter.
I thought by the time they got to Minnesota, it was like, oh, this tripped us up against Denver. So for sure somebody else is going to try this. Here's what we're doing when they do it. And
to that point, I thought that Carlisle said something that a lot of people won't pick up on that I thought he was absolutely right about. And they actually mentioned this in the broadcast. Alex Caruso's cutting. He's not just standing at the 3-point line.
No.
And knocking down catch and shoot threes. And again, that's a role that every team needs, that every team has a guy, except for the Magic, that just sits there and catches and shoots threes, right? But Caruso gets behind the defense. He times his cuts. He waits until the defender just takes his eye off him for a second, and his teammates are so good at finding him, and he finishes or he gets fouled. I thought that his cutting was a key to this game, and against a zone, it is that type of player that can make your zone look really foolish.
No, he runs the baseline so well.
It's kind of like Aaron Gordon-ish, but a smaller Aaron Gordon. It's like he's like a dunker spot king, a short king, but dunker spot king.
Well, and then he is. I mean, he's absolute death if he's going to knock down the open threes.
Yeah, I mean,
because he's killing you defensively. Look.
Let me look at what Wiggins was. I think Wiggins was ridiculous. What was Wiggins from the floor from the 3? 5 for 8. What are we talking about? And Caruso was 4 for 8. That can't. I mean, that's not going to happen again.
Do you know
5 for 8 and 4 for 8?
I was reading the thing this morning because we got the draft coming up in 3 weeks now, right? I was reading this thing about Aaron Wiggins. Of course, every time somebody goes off in a spot that big, there's going to be extra attention on him. It'd be like, oh, if you don't know about Aaron Wiggins, he's the 55th pick in the draft.
Jesus.
He's the 55th pick in the draft. He's the 4th leading scorer on a 68-win basketball team.
He's not the 4th leading scorer.
Yes, he is.
Per game in the regular season?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
I'm trying to think.
I think he's 4th.
Well, you've got Chet, J-Dub, and SGA.
Yes. And I think he's 4th. I'll go check against that.
Well, I'm trying to think of who else it would be.
Just to make sure I'm right, but I'm almost. That's when I was reading it this morning. I was like
30-point games from time to time.
I was like, bro, imagine you get I mean, that's how you do it when you get the 55th pick to be that good. Like that, those are the ones that it's like, okay, yeah, you hit on Jalen Williams, and of course, Chet was the number 2 pick in the draft, and.
Well, was
you
Caruso,
hit on these different guys.
Was Caruso drafted? And then you got Nembhard, who's a 2nd-round pick, who's got the keys to the car in the final possessions of the game in Game 1 in the finals.
All right, just pulled it up. Gilgeous-Alexander, 33 points a game. We'll round up
Jesus.
On these, right? I mean, this is for the season.
Yeah.
32.7. I mean, one MVP.
Yeah. Points.
Jalen Williams, 21.6. Chet, 15. Aaron Wiggins, 12. He's the 4th. He's the 4th leading scorer on a 68-win team. He shot 49% from the field, 38% from 3 for the season. And again, I mean, he was the 55th pick in the draft. Been in the league for 3 years. Crazy. Can you imagine? You hit, I mean, whoever, people have turned off the draft.
Oh, hell
yeah. The hit rate on that is like so low.
Oh, that's whenever they trade like 2nd-round picks. I'm like, that's insignificant. It's like, oh, they traded such and such and such and such and a 2nd-round pick. I'm like, what? That's insignificant. Generally, 2nd-round picks are pretty insignificant.
Okay, and you said that you watched it back this morning.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't watch the entire thing, right?
No, I did.
Oh, because
I fast forward the commercial breaks.
Okay, I'm gonna make a confession here. I'm making a confession.
Safe space.
I turned it off when Johnny Furphy came in.
Furphy.
I did. There's 4 minutes left. I said, okay.
I've seen Pacers games where Furphy's in like real minutes.
I got it. I was like, Rick, and this I stand by. I stand by this. If you don't care, I don't care. I mean,
yeah.
If you don't care, I mean, come on, bro. Johnny Furphy. Like and by the way, it was that there was this weird overlap where he put in Johnny Furphy and the crew, and Oklahoma City still had their guys in, so you had this moment where Johnny Furphy was guarding SGA. And I was like, okay, dude, we're done here. I don't need to.
On the call was like, time of death, 9:36 Central. Furphy's in the game.
Yeah, I don't.
It was a classic game too when the road team wins Game 1. Like I mean, no one really expected them to go 2-0 on the road to start the finals, and I felt like it was competitive at the first half. And the Pacers didn't play well.
That's why. All right. So you and I were a little bit on the same page here. I left that game thinking I'll be shocked if we come out of Indiana and it's 3-1.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
I don't feel like the Thunder figured something out and now it's going to be Thunder in 5. I don't feel that way.
I don't. I think we're at least. We talked about this after Game 1, and Game 2 did not change my mind. Where after Game 1, we said, "Look, we started these finals by saying, hopefully, we're watching a Game 6 in Indiana," and I think that tonight made that the truth. I don't think they're going to lose 4 straight games, so we're going to see a Game 6 in Indiana, and I still feel that way. I still feel like I would be shocked if it's 3-1 after these 2 games in Indiana. And honestly, I'm a little surprised that I think it's 4.5 for Game 3. Oklahoma City's favored by 4.5.
That feels about right.
Well,
that feels
just because of the way they've played in game threes. I mean, obviously the circumstances are a little bit different. I know Indiana has lost some game threes at home, but extenuating circumstances, they won.
That Memphis game 3?
No.
Remember
But
that?
I'm saying, I got you. But Indiana won both games in Cleveland and then lost at home. Won both games in New York and then lost at home. So those are different circumstances. 1-1 going back to Indiana, and I mean, we've seen Oklahoma City. They were down 27 in Memphis in a game 3. They got beat by 1,000 in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Indiana is able to win game 3, and then maybe we've seen a lot of the Oklahoma City template so far.
I think that the Thunder defense is special, right?
No question.
They're much better defense than the Pacers have faced in any round previously, right? But there's a lot more that Siakam can do, that Haliburton can do, and Nembhard and Neesmith can get hot from 3. Like, I just feel like the Pacers haven't played particularly well, and I think you have to hat tip to the Thunder for that and their great defense. But there's going to be a 30-point game for Haliburton or Siakam in this series.
Well, and the devil's advocate is they've been down by 15, they've been down by 20, and they shouldn't have won game 1, and game 2 was just like what we thought it was going to be originally. And I don't know. I just don't feel that way after watching the way game 1 and game 2 went. And I guess it's just the way me and you viewed game 1. We always thought it was in range. Yes, it was crazy that they did it.
We've got the text to prove it.
Yeah. It was we never thought they were going to lose that game by 20. It was always kind of like, bro, if they just stick around here, there's a temp. Yeah, because they are not. You can't view them being down by points the same way you can view literally anybody else in the history of the NBA being down points, because it just hasn't mattered.
And I also think that in Rick Carlisle's, what he said is he basically said without saying it, hey, Pacers fans, you got to show up and match this energy. And we're going to need you to carry us to the victory in game 3. And it's going to be a completely different environment. And I think that rewatching the game this morning, because I kind of forgot about the first quarter, is the Thunder played kind of tight. They played a little fetusy in that first quarter. They were kind of like, we need this one. And it seemed like they were a little tight. And then obviously in the second quarter, they opened it up and went on that 19-2 run. But I could see a world in which the Pacers wire-to-wire win game 3.
Because you're not playing the Steph, Draymond, Clay Warriors, or one of these teams that's like, it's old hat, or the LeBron teams from way back, where it's like, all right, the finals have an ebb and flow, and we'll crank it up when we got to crank it up. Like the Thunder having to do this for the first time as well. This is all, and this is going to be their first NBA Finals road game, playing in this kind of stakes in a hostile environment. And there's just no way that doesn't affect you. It affects even the best of the best and the ones that have done it before. We've seen that over the course of time, and so I don't know. I don't know the way. I was surprised at the line for game 3, and maybe that should inform things. And maybe they did just catch on to something. I don't know, but I still will stand by. I will be shocked if we come out of that 3-1.
Yep.
I mean, I think we're getting 2-2. I do.
I don't love to predict the outcome of games. I mean, I do it because it's part of the gig. But like a lot of times, like if I'm just like out in the streets or on the subway and someone's like, who's going to win tonight? I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like I could see it going either way, and I could. I think the Pacers win game 3. I think they do. I think the crowd, those shots that just weren't going in are going to go in. I think the Pacers win game 3.
One, it's an adjustment thing. And also, one of the things we can say for not only the Pacers, but Rick Carlisle, they have gotten better as these series have gone on.
Yep.
The longer the series has gone on, the more they've figured things out and the better they've looked.
Yeah.
You know, they have not been one of those teams that like looked great at the beginning and then faltered as it went on. In fact, they looked stronger as it went on. We ended up leaving series being more impressed with the Pacers after adjustments were made and things were started to get figured out because they've got a guy that's great at figuring out stuff too.
I believe in Carlisle.
Yep.
The NBA Finals are here, and it's all come down to this. And FanDuel's turning the excitement up even more with an all-customer profit boost for every single game of the series. As if you need another reason to root for a Game 7. Use your profit boost to bet which team will win, who's going to drop 30, or you can build a parlay for a shot at an even bigger payday. If your bet wins, you'll win even bigger. And then you can do it all again in the next matchup. Game 3, Wednesday night, 8:30 Eastern. I think that the underdog Pacers will win this game and change the complexion of the entire series. I am rooting for a Game 7 because FanDuel's turning up the excitement with an all-customer profit boost for every single game. I also think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has scored more than 30 points in 9 straight games, will do it again for the 10th straight time. I also think Pascal Siakam will score over 20 points. You parlay all that together, and then you use the profit boost, and you get a huge payday if it works out that way. If you don't already have FanDuel, it's not too late to get in on the action. Just visit FanDuel.com/mismatch to join today. That's FanDuel.com/mismatch to claim your profit boost for each and every game this NBA Finals. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Remember, you must be 21 and over and present in select states or 18 and over and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in is required. Bonus issued as a non-withdrawable profit boost token. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com.
All right, couple other NBA notes that we got to get to. Some terrible injury news that's taken place. I mean, June is not a month where we should be getting bad news.
No,
right? We don't even. There's only 2 teams playing, and we ain't got nothing until summer league, right?
And it's not even like off-season injuries usually happen like as you get like August, or September when people are like working out. This is like when people are like in the Caribbean or in Europe.
Theoretically, except Zach Edey evidently turned his ankle, and it's now multiple times. It started in Summer League last year in Utah, and then it happened, and then he didn't play, and then I was there in Vegas, and we're all excited. It's like Zach Edey in Vegas, getting to see him. We show up at the game. Game starts, and he turns it again. And he's laying on the thing, and he yells, "I just want to effing play."
God.
Right? And then got into the season, and he did it again. And then evidently, he's done it again. And so that ligament is just shot. And so now he's got to get surgery to repair the ligament in his ankle. And that is not a short one. That's a 6 to 8 month one.
Damn, really?
And so, yeah, he'll miss the beginning. He'll miss the first portion of the season next year. And it's also a 7'5" guy getting an ankle.
Slow,
fixed.
heavy, big guys with foot injuries have a long, bad history in the NBA.
Well, luckily, so I talked to my guy, Jeff Stotts, who's in street clothes on Twitter, and he's great. And he always helps dumb it down for me to explain the way this goes. And he said, he's got a big database of all kinds of NBA injuries. He was like, the big guys that he looked at that had like gotten this done, it doesn't really apply because they had already had like pretty bad foot injuries before it happened. Yao Ming, Brook Lopez.
But that's not ankles, really. Those are more like plantar fasciitis and stuff like that. Yeah.
But they had also had ankle issues as well. Dante DiVincenzo was one that he found. The 21-22 season, I believe it was. He went back and he found a DiVincenzo. And DiVincenzo, even then,
is that Bucks DiVincenzo or Warriors DiVincenzo?
Yeah, 21. I'm sorry, 21-22 season, said he missed 6.5 months
Ooh.
when he needed surgery. Still not a great comp because DiVincenzo's obviously not 7'5" monster. But it sucks. It sucks. And hopefully Zach Edey's going to be able to make a full recovery. But the Grizzlies slow play injuries anyway. So next season will start, and Zach Edey will not be the starting center for Memphis for a good portion of time because we're right now in June. Even if he gets the surgery now, if you're talking about 6
December,
to 8
January?
months, I mean, longer than that.
January.
It's June.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're talking about, at best. So, I mean, you're missing and again, you're slow playing it. And the last thing on earth you want to do is bring back a 7'5" guy with a surgically repaired ankle that you're not bringing him back. Who
gets put in a lot of pick and roll action, too.
You're not bringing him back until he's 110%. Right?
I thought Zach Edey's rookie year was exactly what you thought Zach Edey's rookie year was going to be. Like, there were certain times where you would just watch him just like, the whoever Ja would miss a shot and he would just be the biggest guy down under the basket and he would just get it and put it back in. And it just feels like, that's unstoppable. Yep. There's other times where they would put him in pick and roll and he looked like he didn't belong on the NBA floor. And I thought that for a rookie, he was exactly who we thought he was going to be.
Yep. Darius Garland, they announced that he's going to get toe surgery. So that's 4 to 5 months. So maybe he'd be able to be back by the beginning of the season or close to.
What's interesting about this one is Wendy is on the air saying that they're open to sort of offers or conversations about moving him. And then the next day we get this news, which those two things are connected.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to make offers for Darius Garland, it changes everything if he's not available for 4 or 5 months. He's got a toe issue.
I actually would zag on that one.
You think it makes it more likely for him to get moved?
Yes.
Because
he
other
needs the
teams
surgery.
will buy low?
No, because he needs the surgery. Because he needs the surgery. So it's like, bro, he's going to fail a physical. If I trade for him, he's going to fail a physical. So go ahead and get this done. Like, you got to get toe surgery, get the toe surgery, because we want to be able to tell everybody that you're going to be available for next season, which he will because he gets it done right now.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be available for next season, and theoretically, whoever would trade for him wants him to be available. And I told you about 2 weeks ago when I saw that rumor at one point, I was like, I don't even care if it's true or not. It makes all the sense in the world. That whole Suggs and Garland framework.
The Magic thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it all makes too much sense. That would be perfect. But and obviously because of Mobley winning Defensive Player of the Year and because of the amount of money that Cleveland is paying for a roster that did not make it to the conference finals and needs to make and obviously does not have things that fit the best for playoff basketball. I wouldn't be surprised if they
Mitchell and Garland really remind me of CJ McCollum and Dame Lillard.
Totally.
Where two excellent NBA basketball players that are great, but they're just not meant to be the backcourt because of the defensive liabilities and size.
Right.
And again, like I like Darius Garland. I think he's a good defender as well, but like it's just hard to have Garland and Mitchell the same way it was hard to have Lillard and McCollum and be successful.
Yeah, the perimeter defense is just, I mean, there's a limit to funneling it to two bigs.
Yeah,
and that's what they were doing. Funneling it to two bigs because they didn't have anybody on the perimeter that could stay in front of anybody.
And I think NBA players are so sophisticated now. The floater works, the pull-up mid-range works. Like, if you can't guard anybody, look at the Bucks. If you can't guard anybody on the perimeter, your defense is shot, no matter how good your bigs are in the middle.
Yep. A couple other things I want to mention. The Hawks bringing in Onsi Salah, who is the general manager. He was under Landry Fields, who they blew out of there, and he brought in Bryson Graham, who was in the front office for the Pelicans, and Peter Dinwiddie, who's in the front office for the 76ers. And I don't expect everybody, to have a keen awareness of all of those names. The point is this: when you are elevating one guy to the job,
Mhm.
and then he is bringing in 2 other guys from other organizations that have been evaluating and drafting talent at these other organizations or whatever else, you now have an entire contingent in Atlanta that none of them are married to that roster.
Yes.
so
Rarely do
that-
things like this happen. They have a meeting and say, you know what? Let's just stay the course. You know what?
No.
They're like, these guys don't get into a conference room and say, yeah, I love this roster. Let's just stay the course.
The only question is going to be, are we still a build out around Trey team or not?
And if they called your phone on a group text, they group text you, Chris Vernon, we listen to Mismatch twice a week.
I'm sure they do.
We really respect your opinion.
Yep.
Should we continue to build around Trey Young? What would your answer be?
Yes. In the meantime, yeah. In the meantime, I mean, come on. I don't think Trey Young's the problem. I know a lot of people do. I don't think Trey Young's your problem. I don't think Trey Young's your problem.
I don't think you're going to get
And I think
value
if you,
for him. That's
I
going to be
also
worth
think if
trading.
Jalen, I think I would look at it and I'd go, I've got Trey Young, I've got Jalen
Risa Shea.
Johnson, I've got Trey Young, Jalen Johnson, and Risa Shea.
Yeah,
The
I thought
rest
Risa
of it,
Shea showed some signs. Like he looked like a number 1 pick a couple times this year.
I would say I've got those 3 guys, and we nailed it with Dyson Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
So we got another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got 4 I care about, I think. This is just going off the top of my head. You could probably say I should care about a Kongwe or I should care about this guy or that
whatever.
guy. Honestly, off the top of my head, I would look at that and I would go, it's Jalen Johnson, it's Risa Shea, it's Dyson Daniels, it's Trey. And it's like, okay, like I think I can still build out a roster around these guys. And like, I've got good player. I've got some good players here, you know? And I think I build out around that first before I would just decide, okay, I'm not married to, I don't expect you to be married to a roster that wasn't successful. That being said, I do think there's a way to build out. And I also think that if Jalen Johnson would have been healthy, they would have been a solid ass playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
You know? And so
I don't think there's a big gap between the Pistons and the Hawks in the Eastern Conference.
no. So
And I also think there's a lot of opportunity in the Eastern Conference, which has been covered very well with who knows what's going to happen with Giannis and who knows what's going to happen with the Celtics, that there's an opportunity where I could see them being a 3 seed next year if things break right for them. I can
and
see
you make a couple good deals,
Mhm.
hit a draft pick, you know, you never know.
And I
just
think Daniels and Young make sense together in a way that like Garland and Mitchell don't. It's like we've got the offensive guy, we've got the defensive guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
that's what we got. We got the offensive guy, we got the defensive guy. Complementary pieces.
And
Yeah,
you
they're
got
going to try to get Trey
and
Young
you got some
in
long
switches.
wings that can score in transition, and you got a
And
good
defend.
coach. And
Yeah.
I would marry myself to a small core of guys that aren't on crazy contracts yet, except for one of them, and then I'd build out around that because I just don't think you would get I don't think there's some kind of massive market for Trey Young anyway, and so I
think Trey Young doesn't get celebrated enough for what a good passer he is. His lobs, his pocket passes, his no looks. When he drives and hits corner 3-point shooters, like he's a high usage guy, which is like quote unquote heliocentric or hero ball or whatever you want to call it. So it rubs people the wrong way, but he's a great passer.
I would, and here's again, I know there's a lot of people that wouldn't agree with me, but like, I look at it and I go, all right, I got a playoff game next year. There ain't that many guys in the Eastern Conference I want over Trey Young that night. I'm sorry. There's not. It's not.
I can name a few, but sure.
No, a few, but I'm saying the Eastern Conference
5 or
stinks.
6. Cade, Brunson,
I got
Tatum,
it.
Giannis.
I got it.
Mitchell.
It's not that many, though. I would
rather have him than Tyler Hero. I'm just trying to think of playoff teams in the East. Like
he's had some playoff moments too.
Oh yeah, right here, right down the street.
All right, let's talk about right down the street.
What is this Jason Kidd shit? What? Who watched the Knicks and were like, we're Jason Kidd away from championship contention. What? Did people forget?
You think
what
he's just got the?
in
You think it's just a?
Brooklyn?
You think it's just a Brunson thing, like where it's like,
I don't know,
or,
dude.
Or it's like they would be so comfortable with him.
And you'd have to like trade for him. Like, I just don't understand how Jason Kidd's name is associated with this position. Why? How did this happen? Who reported this? Is this real?
Here's the other thing. It's like what I love is the Knicks have, or the report was they're going to ask for permission to talk to, Dallas or whatever, and it's like, bruh, you just fired Tom Thibodeau. You are asking permission to hire Jason Kidd. Or you are asking permission to hire. They're not going to interview. Like, there's no, to talk to him. Like, hey, Jason, hey, Jason, what, you just sell him on the job? Like, it's literally hey, man, are you pissed off about the Luka thing? Do you want to get away from the dumpster fire that is, what's the guy's name? I just drew a blank. Nico. Yeah. Or do you want to Coach Cooper Flagg and the rest of that group, or I don't know. Like, I don't
understand. I don't understand why Jason Kidd's name is being associated with this job.
And why would Houston ever let Ime Udoka?
It's honestly, it's like these people have contracts and jobs.
Did you guys, it's just odd. Did they not know who they were going to hire?
So I've had some time to think about this.
I got to believe it's just going to end up being Jason Kidd.
I think what happened is in those exit interviews, a bunch of players were like, fuck Tom Thibodeau. That's probably. And I think that after they heard it 2 or 3 times from important players in the starting lineup, they're like, I don't think we can run this back with this guy.
Well, and emotions are so high.
Mm-hmm. These interviews are like right after you lose to the Pacers.
It's literally the next day.
Yeah.
And you're pissy, and it's probably like you haven't really gotten to think it through. My inclination is to believe that we will see the report that Jason Kidd's going to be their coach. I can't believe that would all leak out like that. Like, that feels like one of those things that had to have already been worked out. It has to have been.
But do you remember how it ended in Brooklyn with Jason Kidd and how it ended in Milwaukee with Jason Kidd?
No,
it's like people forget. Like those were contentious endings.
Well, and maybe
they went to the finals last year, but that was Luka ball. Luka get the ball.
The other part of it was, who ushered in Giannis to the NBA?
Oh, that part is ridiculous too. How is someone show me a deal that makes sense for Milwaukee that sends Giannis to the Knicks? Someone show me a deal, because we all follow all the same accounts. We've all seen the graphics with the potential deals, the trade machine people that make it work or whatever. None of them I'm like, oh yeah, the Bucks. They want to be in the Karl Anthony Towns business. Like, why? Why would Milwaukee do that? Why? Trade Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges? Why would you send that to the league if you're the Bucks? Why? Look, it doesn't make sense. Oh, well, Jason Kidd and Giannis, they got along for the 4 years they were together in Milwaukee.
The only way it makes sense is if Giannis asked them to. And they wanted to do right by Giannis, and so they tried to figure out a way to make it happen.
But let's game that out.
No, I got it.
Giannis comes to me and says, I want to go to the New York Knicks. Giannis, I really appreciate how open and honest you've been with us through this process. We appreciate everything you've done for the team in the city of Milwaukee. But I'm not trading you for Karl Anthony Towns, my guy.
No, I got you.
I mean? I'm just not doing that.
Look,
I'll trade you somewhere else, get a bunch of picks and young players. We can rebuild.
I don't know.
But Karl Anthony Towns is going to make $61 million in 3 years. Why would you trade Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns?
Dude, I'm just telling you, strange things happen in the NBA. Like,
sure.
By the time it was all said and done, Pat Riley probably hated Jimmy Butler's guts, but he still traded him for Andrew Wiggins and some bullshit.
Yeah. Slow-mo.
You know what I mean?
Kyle Anderson.
It's like, Why? Why would you trade Jimmy Butler for Andrew Wiggins?
And if you're the Rockets or the Mavericks, why
baloney.
would you trade your coach for what and why?
I've just got
the Ime stuff was weird. I was like, what?
I've got to believe that the kid stuff has been worked out. That just seems foolishness for it to leak out like that, and for them to fire Tibbs, and it's like, okay, if you want Jason Kidd to be your coach, and Jalen Brunson, and they want him to be a coach, and they want to play for Jason Kidd, and Jason Kidd wants to come back to New York, and he's, he ain't got Luka no more, so he doesn't care about that job anymore. And so I got it.
Didn't Kyrie say he wasn't playing next year? I saw that report. That was weird.
You never know with him.
But it feels like he should be available by like January, February, right?
I got it. But he might have said that at some.
He's like, I ain't playing. Really?
Yeah. Yeah, but who knows? He might have just been talking into the wind, playing with a dream catcher in South Dakota when he said it.
But there's a world.
You never know.
There's a world where the Mavs are like a really tough out next year.
Yeah.
In the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's a world where it's like Flag is like popping, and you've got, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie, and like there's a world where the Mavs are like a formidable basketball team.
There's also a world where a 34-year-old or whatever he is, Anthony Davis, plays
never
36 games.
Cooper Flag is miserable. He's like 17 years old, averaging 7 points a game, going 3 for 14.
And Klay Thompson's pissed off.
Klay Thompson's angry.
It's like, I got it.
There's a world where everybody on the roster except for Cooper Flag asks for a trade. Every single person. Every single person. There's one more thing I wanted to hit before we go.
Yeah, anything else stand out to you?
Pictures of Victor Wembanyama.
Oh, I thought for sure when you said pictures, you were going to say of Luka Doncic.
No.
He's looking lean.
Dude, that's just camera angles, man. That's
It's
just
not.
angles. It's just
not.
angles.
No, angles cannot make your face look that
I'm
fat.
so excited for the Luka Doncic Ozempic era.
He's going to be ripped.
He's Ozempic'd out.
Ripped. Well, you go to L.A. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you got to get that Ozempic. He's
hard to be a fat.
He's going to get a facelift.
Yeah.
I
mean, hell, I saw a picture of Jonah Hill the other day, and he's 120 pounds. Have you seen those?
Yes, I don't like it.
I mean, hey, L.A. could do some crazy things, too.
I lived a much healthier lifestyle when I lived in Los Angeles. You just end up like drinking green juices and eating salads. Yeah. In New York, it's just beer and burgers and pizza.
All right, so what picture?
Pictures of Victor Wembanyama.
Oh.
This guy's at a Shaolin temple in China in monk robes, hanging out with monks. Like Victor Wembanyama, when he speaks like he's like a 65-year-old man. Like he's just wise beyond his years. He's so measured. He's so put together. And the idea that like half of the league is on a yacht in Ibiza, doing whatever they're doing over there, going to nightclubs and Stephon Diggsing their way through their offseason. And then this guy's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to a Shaolin temple in China and shave my head and eat and sleep with monks. This guy has it.
You went.
Oh, yeah.
Has it.
Oh, yeah.
You love the Shaolin monk.
I was Victor Wembanyama for all October, all November. But the Shaolin monk thing, the idea that's what he's doing with his free time is like sitting cross-legged in silence in a Shaolin temple. I mean, come on. 2026 champions.
I mean, are you talking out of both sides of your mouth here? Is it totally dependent on the individual?
No, it's also like if the Wu-Tang never said the word Shaolin, I would even know what a Shaolin temple was.
Okay, how about
this?
To
be honest with you.
Let's say, same exact picture, but it's Aaron Rodgers.
Total clown. Doing it for the gram. Total clown. Should probably retire, and we should probably never hear from him again. But the fact that it's Victor Wembanyama.
That makes it cool.
That makes it cool.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And the part where they said he was eating with them, I was like, oh, he ate meals with the monks? Wow.
You kind of want to do it, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you want to.
I do. I
wonder what they eat. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure they eat healthy things. protein, plant.
I'm gonna Google it right now while we're on the air. What do
Shaolin
monks
diet?
eat? No,
No,
what
Shaolin. Do Shaolin.
Okay, Shaolin monks eat. All right, hold on. Says Shaolin monks typically follow a vegetarian diet that emphasizes simplicity and nourishment.
Yeah.
Rice, vegetables, tofu, nuts and seeds, fruit, and soup. They try to avoid meat, dairy products, eggs, and processed food.
And flavor. Yeah. They need some adobo.
So they're like David Goggins. one of these influencers.
Walter Goggins. Big year from Victor Wembanyama next year. Shaolin monks.
All right. It's going to do it for today's show. We will reconvene on Thursday night. Thank you to our executive producer, Jesse Lopez, as always. Thanks to our video producer, Tucker and Jacoby. I will talk to you later this week.
Must be 21 and over in present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and over and present in D.C. Got a gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.